When I first started building my brand a year ago, all I did to grow to 10,000 followers was sit in my room all day ripping cinematic reels. But 6 months in, I noticed something. Yes, I had 20,000 followers, but when I looked at my page, I could only think one thing. This does not feel like me. And after talking to loads of them, I noticed a lot of creators and founders feel this digital dissonance because their typical content production cycle is as follows. They scroll, they find a viral topic and hook, they copy it, make it slightly better, get views, get followers, repeat. The problem is every single step in that cycle can be copied. The topic, the hook, the format, even the making it slightly better part. But there is one thing you can't copy, and that's taste. Because taste doesn't come from an algorithm, it comes from your own eyes. Stuff you notice when nobody else is watching, which is why when you skip it, your brand becomes a stack of other people's ideas wearing your face. And the scary part is you could win that game. You get the views and the followers, but your page could literally be anyone's. So today I'm walking you through the exact process I use with my clients to find their taste so that their brand isn't a better copied version of someone else's. Because most people think having good taste is just selecting a nice font and a color palette, but that's basically just paint. Like you could paint a car 5 different colors, it's still gonna be the same car. Real taste starts with understanding how you actually see things and then applying that everywhere. Wardrobe, filming location, energy, tone, all of it. But the part that actually matters most is what I like to call unique idea expression, which I like to describe as taste with a job to do. That's really the only way you can uniquely hand information to your audience. So here's how I do this for clients. So the first step is to just write out your hobbies. And I don't mean slight interests or stuff you think sounds impressive, the stuff you do even if nobody ever saw it. Mine, thanks for asking, were chess, rock climbing, and drawing. Then you simplify. I cut rock climbing because it was too hard to use as a way to simply explain ideas. And that's a filter you want to use for everything you're putting down. Can this thing become a lens I explain other things through? And with that, chess and drawing stayed. Next, we look at what's underneath the hobby and not just the hobby itself. Chess is all about strategic thinking and long-term planning, and my drawings are creative and a little unpolished in a good way. Both of these are exactly what a creative director should be associated with. It also works inversely. Because these are my hobbies, I'm more likely to be a creative director. Our hobbies show us the versions of ourselves that are underneath the job title. That's why we start step 2 by finding the underneath the hobby traits and connecting them with what you actually do for work. For me, personal branding is already strategic and long-term, same as chess. I just had to connect the dots. That's where my Chess Tactics series came from, explaining brand positioning through openings and endgames. And we didn't just do this because it's a clever gimmick, it's how my brain actually organizes the problems. Then for the last step, check it against your taste and not just what makes logical sense. For example, me taking the time to draw out captions for my videos doesn't make a ton of logical sense, that would be more motion graphic leaning, but I still use them because it's genuinely what makes communicating in my videos feel like me. Which is again the whole point of why we're doing this. And if some commoditized, more polished version feels more right than what you came up with, you probably just haven't found it yet. The goal is to be uniquely you within your creative constraints. Does this take longer? Yes. Does it make your audience trust you more because they can actually tell you care about what you're creating? Also yes. And as a bonus, this process always leads to great contrarian positioning. Like we did this exercise with a client of mine who sells custom jewelry, and typically in that space, everyone kind of sells the mystique around the fancy diamonds. It's very gate-kept, don't ask a lot of questions vibe, but for him, the underneath trait was transparency. Because he's genuine, he would rather over-explain than oversell. So instead of mystique, his entire brand became a conversation with his audience where they felt like they could ask him anything about what they're purchasing. That's phenomenal trust. He was able to get ahead of every single other jeweler just by being honest. Same product category, completely different take. So once you have your vehicle for idea expression, your videos start to feel like you because they're actually yours. And because you stay this long, here's a lightning round of things you can do to push the personalization of your content even further. Go through your playlist, start using the instrumentals of the songs you actually listen to. The instrumentals make it so your voice is not competing with the artist, but it still feels intertwined to you as a person. Build your own color grade instead of grabbing a preset. This helps the viewer conceptualize how you're seeing the world. It's also insanely more custom. When you go to copy a viral hook, adjust it to read in your actual voice. If you wouldn't say it to a friend, don't say it on camera. So overall, making your videos personal isn't complicated, it's just slower. And because slower is boring, it's exactly why most people won't do it, and that's also exactly why it works. The whole process, the hobbies, the underneath traits, the filter, that's just how you find your taste, and taste is the one thing that nobody can screenshot and steal.